When you've made the decision to lose weight, to let go of unwanted weight, you've got to make one of two choices. You've got to decide on something you're going to change in what you're eating, or you've got to decide on something that you're going to do to work out. So one or the other, or both, are a part of that equation. Well, one of the choices that I made was choosing to rebound, bouncing on a mini trampoline in order to get my body in shape, to tone it up in a safe way. And I say safe as in softer, gentler, less impact for my joints because I'm carrying extra weight. I'm carrying over 100 pounds of extra weight. Well, when you think about that, that puts so much strain on my muscles and my bones already that I didn't want to do something that was really harsh, in my opinion, and would be more stress on my joints and my feet that were already achy and already feeling the stress of that weight. So that's why when I started this journey over 4 months ago, I chose rebounding because it was the gentler approach for me. And that's the journey I share. So I do rebounding, I do my daily walks with my dog, and I do strength training in the gym. So that is my exercise component that I have built for helping me to release 100 pounds. This is actually a part 2 video in my nutrition series. I want to challenge you to consider what can you do in the way that you eat that is going to better support your body versus thinking, what can I do to restrict my body, to keep something out and to hold back in order to make my body lose the weight. Instead, I want you to flip that conversation and say, what can I give my body that it's missing, that it desperately needs, so that it will cooperate with me and lose the weight? This has been the biggest eye-opening shift for me. I've done a lot of different diets throughout the years because I didn't get to this point of carrying over 100 extra pounds because I was lazy or because I sat around eating sweets and desserts and donuts and whatever else falls in that, bags of chips. I don't eat chips except for tortilla chips when they're a part of nachos, or like if I went to a Mexican restaurant, which I don't even do that anymore. I don't eat sweets. I've never have. I'm not a sweets kind of desserty candy, any of that. None of that has any appeal to me. I don't drink sodas. And so I don't have the basic things. I don't eat out hardly ever. And I definitely don't eat fast food in that realm or processed junk. I've cleaned up my diet so much. I've learned so much throughout the years. And I've done a lot of different approaches to eating. I was vegan for like 2.5 years. I've done different varying degrees of veganism. I've done raw vegan cleanses even. I gave up entirely eating pork and I haven't had beef since 2010. And I only eat chicken and like turkey on an occasion. I'm just not a big meat person. It's just not my jam. Like I just don't have a preference for it. So I've had to learn how to find other sources of protein. Now I share all of this because things that I took out, I also had to learn how to find a balance for, okay, if I take this out, is there anything I'm going to be depleted on? Is there anything I'm going to be missing? What else am I going to need? And so, see, it's about becoming a scientist in your own life, a scientist who is aware of studying your own body, because nobody knows you better than you know yourself. But are you taking the time? Are you taking the time to get to know yourself, to listen, truly listen to your body and find out what it needs and what it's trying to communicate to you? And the biggest eye-opening thing to me is that I was actually hurting myself and I was hurting all of the results that I was desperately seeking. I wanted to release the weight, but my body wouldn't do it. And I blamed my body and I thought there was something wrong with me. I was broken. I thought there's got to be a reason here. And the medical tests weren't revealing anything. The blood work didn't show anything. It was like, why am I suffering? And I couldn't understand it. And the weight would just eventually continue to go up. And that's where I said something has to be different. And that's where I took this. I know myself better than anybody else. I've got to figure this out. What is it that I'm missing? I just know there has to be something that I'm missing because otherwise I would be doing it. Like I was that committed. I was like, if I knew what to do, I would just do it, but I don't know what to do. So what is it that I'm missing? And I put all this out there to you because part of it was I was too restrictive in what I was eating. And I wasn't giving myself, even though I felt like I was eating well and it was healthy, But for my body, it wasn't enough of what I needed. It wasn't in the right proportions and amounts. I'm not saying like even serving size. I'm saying the balance of nutrition and supplements and just fuel for your body in order to run and give you enough energy throughout the day. And so you can feel good and you can operate and you can go challenge yourself in the gym. You can go have an awesome rebounding session and not crash afterwards. That is about turning food into fuel. That is about using the food to create energy that your body needs to thrive. That's why I'm recommending that you focus on your nutrition and the source of your food, what you are putting in, rather than just thinking about, okay, I need to find another diet. I need to follow this particular plan. I need to restrict. I need to take out. I need to limit all those harsher approaches. So instead of putting pressure on yourself to go out there and entirely overhaul your life by following a new program, I recommend that instead of taking on that shock, which can be rather detrimental, and can leave you even with major mood swings. It can just shock your body, or it can even put you in a place of maybe you go on an extreme cleanse or extreme diet, and all of a sudden you've got diarrhea issues or like whatever other things are going on in your body. Like, been there, done that. I speak from experience of making these massive shifts in the way that I'm eating, and my body might drop very quickly, the weight, but it's a lot of water weight. It's a lot of muscle weight, and it's not the fat that's leaving. And my body, it like just like jumps back as soon as I go off of this very restrictive way of being. This is what brings us back to this conversation of being a scientist in your own body, learning what you're feeling, learning what you need. And it's different for you than it is for me. There are certain things that I've been able to eat in the past that I can't eat anymore. For example, salsa. I love salsa. I like it's just a part of who I am. I'm like at the very core of my identity. If I could eat like Mexican, Hispanic cultured type food all the time, I would. I love it. But in the olden days, which was like 10 plus years ago, 20 years ago, I enjoyed things that were very spicy, very hot. I cannot handle that anymore. Now, I didn't have to give up salsa. I just had to switch to mild, or I even just make my own salsa. And all these things add up to being a new version of myself because I'm listening to myself. So instead of A, giving up salsa entirely and then feeling like, oh, I miss those days of when I could eat salsa, or B, continuing to torture my body and just eat what I wanted, but my body had to suffer because then I would have heartburn and indigestion and pain in my stomach. Well, I chose option C. I chose no. Neither of those fit for me. I'm going to figure out another way. And that's where I'm at even now. Like, this analogy translates to what I'm doing to figure out what it takes for my body to release the unwanted weight. I'm figuring out that either I can just be like, oh, throw my hands up, give up, feel like I'm a failure, feel like I'm broken, which I've been here. I have embraced that attitude before because I've been so frustrated that nothing was working. And I said, no, I've been there, I've done that, and it didn't get me anywhere good. So no, I don't choose that option. And then on the other hand, I could be like, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to have to do this kind of restriction, follow this plan and do all these things. Or maybe I'm going to have to go take those shots or all these other stuff. None of that felt right either. And I said, okay, I resist all of that. So if I resist that and I resist giving up, what does that leave me? It gives me staying the course and figuring this out. And that's where I got to the point of saying, okay, God, and I prayed because I believe in God, and I prayed over it. And I said, I need wisdom for this. And I need a plan. I need direction because I've got to figure this out. And that's where I came up with this whole, like, let's listen to what my body needs. Let's find out how I can do this better. So for me, some of these changes have been about making better choices, learning how to balance out my food as far as understand what my macros were. Your macros are a balance of your fats, your carbs, and your protein that you eat in a day. And that's really interesting to pay attention to and start to understand. And that made more sense to me now at this stage of my life than just counting empty points. I also made choices about essential nutrients and vitamins that my body needs. And that's a part of its fuel source. It's not just what we eat, but it's also about these nutrients that it needs. That's been a big learning curve for me. And adding in these has really helped me. It's been about experimenting and slowly integrating these into my diet so I can see which one works, which one don't. There are other things that have been changing, and I'm making these tests just like a scientist would, one at a time. Because scientist style is that you need to be able to test just one thing at a time. That way you notice, does it have an impact? Does it create any kind of change? And you can notice what the change is coming as a result of. If you change too many things, you won't know which one caused the result. So with that in mind, I feel that this validates this compassionate approach to improving your nutrition. Instead of just taking everything out, swapping it out for a whole new way of eating, a whole new diet approach, a whole new whatever, you can just adjust one thing at a time. Because it could just be that you need better balance, better times to eat things, better ingredients, a better mixture of balance between your macros. There's so many different adjustments that we can make, and you've got to just take the time to notice. And I know this isn't always easy because we can be in a hurry about things, but if you set the intention, you know what you're planning to do, I found that it becomes way easier. And I, for one, do better with knowing what I'm going to make. For example, I wake up early, I need to eat, I need to make my meals without making a lot of noise in the kitchen and waking everyone else up. And I also need to eat in a way that's simple and easy for me to prepare. So I pretty much eat the same breakfast on a regular basis. It's simple, all whole food ingredients, loads of vegetables right off to start my day. And by doing that, I feel better, I feel stronger, and I don't have a crash in my energy levels because there have been times that that was a problem. I've learned how to balance that out better. How can you look at this as total wellness so that you can heal your body, take care of it, give it what it needs, so it then in return can energize you, support you, and give you the results you're seeking? Happy bouncing, friend.